James B. Sullivan.
I'm gonna be a scarer!
What? Whoa, were you kissing my hand?
And what about you with all your shedding?
I don't shed.
Really? Just wait, Hotshot. I'm gonna scare circles around you this year.
You're not even in the same league with me.
Leon,
What's that?
how many nights have you just stayed up awake trying to figure out how did Mike meet Sullivan in Monsters Inc.? I mean,
I thought the real question is, when are they going to make a sequel to my favorite movie, Monsters, Inc.?
oh, well, I just want you to know you can sleep now. You can sleep now because you, like millions of others, finally have the answer to that with Monsters University.
20 years later.
And you know it has to be for adults because a lot of the kids that would see Monsters University weren't even alive when
they're
Monsters...
homeless now. Yeah,
yeah, they weren't even alive when Monsters Inc. came out.
Who didn't want to see these characters experiment with drugs, awkwardly fumble with their first bra, try out homosexuality? You know, I mean,
Run a chain on some sorority
they're
girl.
on the bang bus.
Yeah, man, you get all that in this movie. This is a whole new Toy Story right here. I'm sorry, it's a whole new Monsters whatever. What are they now?
University,
Monsters University. Yeah, they seriously though, a lot of people are complaining because they're saying, and I think there's a little bit of bias going on here because a lot of people are saying, you know what, man, it was told nicely, that story in Monsters Inc. We didn't need to know all this other stuff. This was unnecessary. That's the biggest word they're using right now.
This is the Star Wars prequel all over again. I really need to know all that.
Well, what they're saying is they're saying, you know, they're just doing this to make money, man. That's all. Yeah, well, yeah, of course they are.
Well, let's be fair. They did the first one to make money as well.
Calm down, calm down, Sherlock.
They didn't make any of these out of love.
Yeah. I mean, it was part of it, but I can guarantee you love is greater than money in some cases. I'm sorry, money is greater than love. And so what you have here.
Yeah, you can't buy money with love, but you can do the opposite.
Yeah, you sure can. And I'm going to tell you something. I don't see y'all complaining about Toy Story 2. You're not complaining about Toy Story 3. They had 3 of them, and y'all are just like, oh, these are so wonderful.
Well,
That's
to
so
be
great.
fair, with each one of those, they advanced the story.
Yeah.
And got better and better.
Those make
advance
sense. Yeah, those make sense.
They advance here. I mean, like I said,
well,
do
it's
they?
a prequel,
It's
so
a prequel, so
whatever the
I mean,
opposite
we know. I mean, the thing with a prequel is you know it's going to work out
When
fine.
it comes out on DVD, you can actually watch this one first and then put on Monsters Inc. afterwards. I don't see what the problem is.
But I'm still missing a third movie, though.
It's on his way. I guarantee you it's on his way. But this here is just what we're saying is Monsters University. This deals with Mike when he was a college student, when he went to Monsters University with the hopes of becoming a scarer, because little monsters like him, they usually become other things. They become the collectors of screams. They put them in cans. They become janitors or whatever, you know.
They work at the pep squad.
Yeah.
They become
Sidekicks.
Fox News commentators.
Something, man. That's for the big monsters to go out and be scarers. Because if you remember from the first movie, that's what they do. In order for the monster world to live, they got to rely on the screams of children. Somehow Pixar has managed to make that cute, as morbid as that sounds. But here, we get to see how when Mike goes to school, how he's seen as an underdog. Everybody says, your little ass ain't going to be a scare. Come on, man.
He's the Rudy of monsters.
Yeah, but then John Goodman's character, and by the way, that's Billy Crystal returning as Mike. John Goodman as Sullivan, he comes in, turns out he's big, he's strong, he's got it in the bag, and not to mention that he bears the family name. They're like, oh, your dad, he was a badass scarer, man.
Legacy.
Yeah, he comes in, he's like, shit, I ain't got to do no work, I got this, and he slacks off. Between him fucking up in school and between Mike being mistreated and being cast aside and shunned, turns out that these two guys who did not get along at first, we learn how they became best friends by having to work together to achieve the same goal of wanting to be a scarer.
They are stronger together than they are apart.
They are.
And that's a great message for children.
Yeah.
It really is.
Find a jock who's stupid. Together you can do anything.
Yeah. And that's what
it's Master Blaster.
That is
It's Master Blaster. You're right.
Yeah. That is pretty much what it is, because that's what I liked about this. I don't remember a whole lot about the first Monsters Inc. It's not one of my favorite
I don't know
Pixar
if anybody
movies.
does.
Well, there's a surprising number of people who love that.
Oh, yeah.
It's their favorite.
Yeah.
And for me, I was just like, I was never one of those scared of the monster under the bed kids.
Yeah.
No, neither was I.
I was like, all right, well, I guess this is okay for some people.
Yeah, your daddy was scary enough.
Yeah, exactly. And also, I guess it's like, it depends on how young you were when you saw the movie. You know, so I was also
I don't
like,
know about that. The first time I ever met Carlisle, me and him, the first time I met him, he wanted to get in an argument with me because I told him I didn't care for Monsters, Inc. He was like, what'd you say?
he doesn't even like
what-
Pixar movies.
Yeah,
What?
well,
He loves Monsters,
talk
Inc.
shit about
Hey, yeah,
Pixar.
he was about to scrap with me right
Oh,
there, and I was like,
jeez.
I'm not going to get in an argument with you about cartoons. Sorry.
I fucking kill you.
And later on, they became the Mike and Sully of Spill. They had to work together.
I jumped on his
Well, Coles
shoulders.
does have that shape.
Yeah, he's round.
I'm trying to figure out which one was
and
the
Carlisle
brains
is hairy.
and which one was the brawn. I'm really unclear here.
Well, like you
Shut
said,
up, sir.
Carlisle was tall and hairy. He was squatting round. So take your pick. But
It's more like detention at Monsters University.
no, you know what? A lot of people love Monsters Inc., man, and
They do.
Look, I have nothing against that. I know it wasn't personally my favorite, but I didn't. It's not that I hated it. I liked it. I just don't remember a whole lot about it because it just didn't make that much of an impression on me. But I know what they kept doing in that movie. They just kept pushing it. Hey, Mike and Sully, best friends. Mike and Sully, hey, friends to the end. And now
a friend in me.
wrong movie,
wrong
but the
movie.
same concept. Yeah, but here I like that we have a beginning where these two guys they start out as rivals. And we get to see them work through that to how they became the best friends that they are. I like that kind
In
of
terms
stuff.
of the chemistry of these characters and the way they develop, it's much more interesting than Monsters Incorporated is. They actually have an arc, whereas
It
in
is.
Monsters Inc., not so much. They're just already friends.
They're already friends, and it's like, oh, we have a human girl here. But I always felt like when I watched Monsters Inc., like they didn't give me a really good explanation of what they even do. We scare kids, we collect the power from that. I was like, wait. I don't understand how I'm supposed to root for you guys when you're terrorizing children just to power your city. And in the way they resolve it, I was like, oh, fucking come on. Just daisies flying from the sky already.
After being spoiled by Toy Story, I mean, and walking into Monsters Inc., I was like, okay, it seems like they're really trying hard to make this magic work between these two characters here, but I ain't buying it, and there's just nothing all that appealing for me. Sure, it may be great for small children, but I'm not a small children. I got some man's dingling, so I can't relate to the story or what it's trying to do. I mean, but yet, you know,
I like the way you say, I just got some man dingling.
I got some man's dingling.
yeah. Phrase that carefully, my friend.
That man's dingling, was it your own?
children could be listening.
How much was that?
But anyway, it didn't have the charm that other Pixar movies had, like especially when you're watching Finding Nemo. You know, just
Sure.
there's something charming about that, and I figured that movie just never did it for me on that
I think,
level.
I also like this better because one, we've been getting lately, the Pixar animation quality has been jumping up in leaps and bounds of how good it is. And a lot of the background and the detail in this is fucking stunning.
Well, you know, this was one of those movies where it was the opposite of so many of the ones I've complained about earlier, where when this movie, like the first act or second, you know, I'm like, okay, it's, you know, once again, characters back in college, you know, story we've seen a million times. I was like, there's not some way they could have just like melded this and the internship into one story. But, it's a movie where the third act was where, or at least halfway through is where it really picked up for me and I started liking it a whole lot better. I was just kind of on the fence at first, but then halfway through, I'm like, you know what? I'm actually really digging this movie.
I'm saying with you, it took the third act to finally like do something for me at least, because I was sitting there and I was like, wow, I still don't find these characters appealing. I don't get it. I was like, I prefer Revenge of the Nerds over this, but
This is kind of Revenge of the Nerds.
Kind of is. You said the keyword kinda, but not good enough.
And
Not
Star
good
Trek
enough.
Wrath of Khan.
Yeah.
They figured out how to beat the Kobayashi Maru.
Not good enough for me. And I don't know if it's just because there's too many years have passed by to where I was still trying to figure out, okay, make this interesting for somebody who's never seen Monsters Inc.
Right.
Make these characters likable, but you know, you see them fighting and bitching at each other constantly. And there was never a point where I was like, oh, that's hilarious. All these cut downs are hilarious. I was just kind of annoyed.
Well, I can tell you what made this movie personally appealing to me, because when I was a kid, I used to love this kind of stuff. I used to love cartoons where there was just all these weird characters all in the background. You know, there was never, there's scenes in this movie where it's just full of monsters doing stuff that if you're not watching carefully, you're going to miss it.
Yeah.
And like
so much detail, so much variety.
When they're walking around the campus, they have all these characters on the campus, the campus lawn they're playing hacky sack and frisbee, and there's people out there doing different preps for different clubs, and the screen is always constantly full of monsters. And like I said, when I was a kid, I loved weird stuff like that, and I think that's what this movie is doing right now. It's appealing to that kid to me by just being so visually interesting. I love the character designs in this with all the weird shapes I see with these creatures. And when I think back to something like Monsters, Inc., that movie's kind of more grounded in the real world. You know, they're dealing with the little girl and all that kind of stuff, and they're trapped there. This is the kind of thing that I want to see in this kind of kiddie monster movie. I want to see a whole variety of species and different shapes and sizes of creatures. But also, one of the things that I think that people do too cute when you have a prequel is that they really try to force in little Easter eggs of stuff that you remember from the previous movie.
Sure.
And they do that here, but I think it works. I think it makes sense the way they do it.
Agreed. It's little things, like they don't overdo it. It's not always like, huh?
Yeah.
But the couple things you see, it's like, okay, that is kind of funny. I like how the characters, how different they are when you see them in college. Like, one of the things that in Monsters, Inc. I didn't like Mike Wazowski. He was annoying, and I'm like, why is you have a character who's based on these Catskill comedians that no kid would even know what that's a reference to?
Yeah.
But Mike here, as this overachiever who really wants to, make good, even though he's a runt, I was like, I can really get into this. I like this character right
His
here.
motivation is a lot easier to identify with. He's just plain more likable. And yeah, they haven't written him as much as that whole Catskills comedian. You're like, all that part of him is kind of just gone. And now he's the more serious guy in there. He's likable. He's got the moon in his eyes. You want him to succeed. You really
and they have
sort of.
I like all the different.
Shut up.
Yeah, you want him to succeed because of some of the characters that you have in there. Helen Mirren plays Dean Hardscrabble, is that it? And she's a Hardscrabble. Yeah, she's a bitch, man.
Great design.
Oh yeah,
monster design.
Well, all her animation, like the way when she just enters a room, it's like the temperature drops. You just hear boom. Yeah.
Scariness is the true measure of a monster. If you're not scary, what kind of a monster are you? It's my job to make great students greater. Not make mediocre students less mediocre. That is why, at the end of the semester, there will be a final exam. Fail that exam, and you are out of the scaring program. So, I should hope you're all properly inspired.
And see, the cool thing about her is like, all the monsters, they're round, they're furry, they're funny looking. When she comes to the room, even the kids in the theater, they're like, "Oh shit," because she's scaly, she's long,
she's like a dragon.
She's
That's what I
she's
like
a dragon.
That design, I was like, well, shouldn't a little kid jump on her back and go fly away, and so they can be in How to Train Your Dragon Part 2? But I don't know. I actually did like her. I just wish there was more of her in it, and I wish they would have done something a little different with that character, like make her more scary, make her more of a bitch in a way.
Come on, it's a kids movie, man.
Honestly,
I could still do it in a clever
way.
way.
They played it just right with her.
Yeah, agreed.
Like too much either direction. I wouldn't have liked it so much.
Because it's important eventually for her to at least feel somewhat balanced and not be just. None of these monsters are flat out monsters. They're just, allegories for people. Mm-hmm. And it's important that she, much like everybody else, be not like just that one dimensional. She's not evil. She's just kind of a bitch.
That's it.
As you expect a headmaster of a school.
And that's what it is. She's a hard ass. She's not supposed to be evil.
Yeah.
Even though the movie would have been interesting for me if she were evil.
Come on.
Yeah. Now, one thing that does bother me with these movies, especially this one, I was really noticing it, like with the character designs. It's like they have like a template of 5 basic things. It's like a hairy humanoid, or it's slug based, or crustacean based, or snake based, and everything just seems to come from that.
It's like they have one of
with a few exceptions, but everything is that.
Kid flip books that are in 3 parts where you like put the parts down and mix and match your monster.
We know. Come on, man. Why you dissecting this shit, man? I mean, damn.
You know what?
Hey, you know what? That arm was on that monster over there.
They kind of look like walking Furbies for a little bit. And I'm like, this is called Monsters University?
Come on. It is Pokemon after a while, but it's all right.
It is. I'm glad you said that.
You know what?
Well, so much so, like when they have one that's based on a rooster, he looks completely out of place. I'm like, hey, buddy, chicken runs. They shooting that down the street.
No,
That's
kids are not going. Kids are not going to notice. Kids they'll be satisfied. They're not going to notice.
Those dumb kids will like anything.
Yeah, those stupid kids. They don't know the difference.
Once we put out the trading cards that we were pretty much doing all but telling you will be available soon all throughout this movie.
I love that. I love that commercial at the end of the credits.
You gotta love the fact that the end credits are a commercial for the merchandise.
I was waiting for go pick them up with your Happy Meal this week.
Yeah, this is perfect. You know, they got so many monsters in there. I'm waiting for the tagline. Gotta get them all. Gotta trade them all. You know, all that kind of stuff.
Gotta graduate them all.
Yeah. But tell you, man, the thing that I didn't like about this, and I was talking about how people, yes, believe it or not, don't you even, man. Don't you even.
Oh, my heart.
Elizabeth, I'm coming to join you, honey.
All of y'all, right?
Soprano, I'm coming to join you.
Don't you even, man. Don't you even riding that super dick last week. You don't sit up here and tell me now.
Hey, that was a fun ride.
It was. I know. How was it?
That was an experience and a half, buddy.
What? Y'all don't even like the movie that much. How come I can't say I dislike something about it? Shut up.
Go for it.
Yeah.
Shoot.
And y'all agree with me, too.
Oh, yeah.
No, I was talking about some of the people complaining how this was unnecessary. And yeah, you're right. I mean, this is not Pixar's strongest movie. Ever since Pixar was kind of taken up by Disney and they had more control over what was going on, these sequels are starting to feel just like that, sequels. And you're right. I mean, Toy Story 1, Toy Story 3, they all feel like they progress and they're part of a story. This, I mean, just by the fact of it being a prequel, it says, okay, y'all just want to put some shit out there.
I mean, that being said, I still think it was better than the first one.
I do too.
I didn't like the first one that much, but it doesn't feel like a natural progression either.
You can tell how it
feels like let's reboot this and find better things to do with these characters.
Yeah, you're right.
And you can tell how much I agree with you by how I went up a few octaves. I do too.
But, you know, that being said, not all the jokes work. In fact, maybe only half of them work here. A lot of them, this is also still targeted at really young kids, just like Monsters, Inc. was. And as well, there was this one thing that kind of bugged me in that they take the villain from the first movie. I forget his name.
Randall.
Yes,
and he's
voiced by Steve Buscemi.
Starts off as a completely, looks like he's going to be a very important character in this film. He's like a big character in it. And you're like, oh, and he's totally sympathetic, great friends with Mike. And they largely just write him out of the movie.
I didn't think so.
Well, it seemed like they gave him more import only to say, well, he doesn't really matter.
Well, you know what? For me, it's one of those things where like, I agree with what you're saying, but it didn't bother me. I thought that was the right decision because had they done that, then I would have felt like, man, they are relying too much on that first movie to tie these things together.
Yeah.
Like, he's in there enough, but there's another focus going on.
I don't know. See, the thing is with me, I actually like that character. I thought, man, this is a great character. They can do so much with him because he is one of those guys who's trying to get in with the cool kids. And, you know, and in the same token, he still kind of has a sort of a friendship just because he knows he's just about as alienated as, you know, the eyeball and the bear is Mike. Yeah.
The eyeball.
And I was like, there is a lot to play with that I thought they completely dropped the ball. That would have been a far more interesting story, I thought, as opposed to what they gave me, especially with where I felt like, wow, I really do need kind of a bad guy in this movie.
No, you don't.
You know, I
No,
felt
you
that
don't.
way.
No, you
I
don't.
honestly felt
Hey,
that
look,
way.
look,
He would have been perfect because he would have integrated in the story and it would have easily lent itself to be more compatible with the first movie.
No,
yeah,
see,
they gotta leave something.
A nice monster bridge
for the next prequel.
Yeah, y'all are wrong.
Oh, for the prequel of before the prequel?
The sequel to the prequel.
Co-host, let me tell you something. Life don't always work like that. You don't always need clear-cut villains.
Oh, it does?
Even in the monster world.
Oh,
all right.
Oh, in a world, you can never have good and evil? Oh,
Code doesn't like shades of gray.
See, that's
that's not my favorite color in my
that's what I liked. But see, that's what I liked about this movie. I mean, I'm kind of joking with you, but that's what I liked about it, that they didn't come in and have to have, this is some good versus evil thing. It wasn't like that. I liked that this was a more lighthearted story. And I liked the whole thing lending to that was Randy Newman's score. He did do this, right?
Yeah.
Because of course he did. What the motherfucker am I talking about?
But just to make you feel better, I did see his name in the credits.
Okay. Yeah. I love Randy Newman's score for this, which itself is very lighthearted. Man, you know what? I really enjoyed this movie. I could complain about it being, just a cheap marketing ploy or a cheap prequel for some money or whatever.
You don't want to go for the obvious thing.
You know what? Yeah, it probably is. And I could probably even criticize the movie for that. But the thing is, whatever they did here, I enjoyed it. I probably enjoyed it more than I should. And for those people who are complaining about it, I will say this. I think that this whole thing of being taken in by Pixar, people are going to be they're going to have their opinions slightly skewed by saying, oh, the Dark Overlord's over this. So they're going to kind of think that this is not a good film for that. And rightfully so, Pixar should be criticized for Cars 2, but now that everybody has seen Cars 2, they're like, oh, Pixar ain't what it used to be. And I think that maybe they may be holding on to that a little bit too hard. Like I said, biasing me because I just visually really enjoyed this movie, but I also thought the story was cute. I'm going to say this too before I give my actual rating. I thought that the most clever thing in this movie was something that they couldn't do in the first film, and they did a whole riff on horror movies and the cliches of horror films near the end of this film. I thought that was a lot of fun. So, you know what? I'm going to give this a full price.
You know what? That part you're not going into, I didn't think it was just a lot of fun. I thought it was really fantastic. I thought it was one of the best parts of this of the whole film. And,
I knew if I played it down, you come in and make it better.
you grabbing onto that on Corey Super Dick?
Hey, don't you even try.
I know.
No, you're right.
From you.
Not that super.
For you, I got to hear this. For all the complaints I had about the first half, it's like, oh, great. The animated version of, Revenge of the Nerds. It more than not pulled it off, especially with the second half. I couldn't have enjoyed it. Well, I could have enjoyed it more, but I thought he did a great job with it. And it's like, wow, what a turnaround. I give it lots of points for being one of those movies there. The sequel is better than the original. And it's one of the most enjoyable movies Pixar's done in the last few years. I mean, I know we bag on, Cars 2 because everybody does, but
sucks.
I enjoyed it more than I did Brave. It was a really fun ride. That second half, I came out like, wow, I feel good after watching that. You know what? I wouldn't mind seeing this again.
You know what? You were right about that. I just came out saying wasn't heavy. I just came out having a good time.
Yeah, I mean, there are those movies that are just for.
Shut up! What the hell are you laughing about?
I know. Monsters Inc. right here.
I was expecting Bill Cosby to throw me a fake Mike.
Mike and the bear.
Mike and Sully. So wait, Leon is the eyeball, right? Right? Leon's the eyeball. And
Corey's the Fruity Pebbles, the bear.
Who's Fuzzy Wuzzy?
But I'm right there with you, Corey. I mean, I would give it a low full price, but still, right there.
Same thing.
Shut up, Corey. Because I'm going to give this a low full price too, and I don't want to hear about it.
Are you really?
Yeah, because I did. I like this movie. It made me feel good. I think it's better than the original. But that being said, it is directed more to much younger kids. It didn't really start grabbing me. It didn't grow out of a matinee until the last 30 minutes for me. And then it was like, wow, this is getting really fun and creative towards the end. But yeah, it's a low full price. It's not nowhere near perfect, but I think it's enjoyable for anybody.
I'm not throwing anything at you.
Let's hear your irrelevant opinion.
All right. Well, as far as irrelevancies go, the last part of it, it was cute. It was cute, just charming. It had its charm, but as far as the rest of the film, sorry, it's just nothing but a cash grab. So it really, that's how I kind of felt. I was like, what was this film really all that necessary? Am I having fun with it? No, not really. Am I liking these characters at all? No, not really. Do I want to revisit it? Never. So yeah, I mean, I'm surprised this didn't go straight to DVD or the Pixar Vault or whatever they want to put it in. But yeah,
I hear full price coming.
Yeah, a rental. I'm sorry. I thought it was kind of a rental.
Go suck a super dick.
Yeah, exactly, man. Man, could you be more condescending? He's cute. He's a ring.
Yeah, if you're stupid and 5 years old.
Yeah.
I think
And again, why didn't you like this?
I think Zack Snyder's much more talented than the artist.
If they had more buildings falling on top of monsters, I would have loved
I don't think there were any more buildings left after Man of Steel.
After this summer, there's no more
You tell me
buildings.
Superman knocked down every goddamn building.
Tentacles and serpents' wings, they...
Don't go in there!
Just reach deep down and let the scary out.
Tonight we party like scarers!
I can't be late on the first day!